Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 907A, and today's date is March 1st, 2016, and the title of the episode is Financial Bubbles Begin to Pop All Over the World. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Let's go back out to Greece and talk about what's happening in Greece. Well, their economy is really starting to accelerate and decline quickly. We're starting to see Greek manufacturing activity. It has deteriorated for the month of February for the first time in 3 months. Companies are now cutting more jobs, and we see production is down. New orders have declined. New export orders have declined, and we're starting to see that the situation in Greece, it's not getting better. It's getting much, much worse. We see in the EU, well, the EU is looking awful. We're seeing statistics from the Netherlands, from Germany, where people are now overwhelmingly negative about the outlook of the EU. Ireland is the least pessimistic, coming in at 20%. The Greece is leading the pack, of course, with 63%. Britain, 44% of the population is against staying in the EU. Now, of course, Cameron, he's using all different tactics to scare people. This is why we have to stay. We can't leave the EU. It will destroy everything. And we can see right now that they're doing whatever they possibly can. And they're even saying that, yes, we'll put it to a vote and all of this, but we know what's going to happen. We know the vote will be rigged, just like the vote in Scotland. And basically, nothing will happen at this point because they are in control right now. The elites, the governments, the central bankers, they have the control and they can control the situations. It doesn't matter what the people want or think. They could care less about that. What we're seeing right now in Australia, in Canada, we're starting to see a lot of bubbles pop. In Canada, the housing market is completely a mess. It's completely falling apart. Prices are declining. Sales are declining. We know that Australia, they fudged their unemployment numbers. They had to admit to it. And now we're seeing that the housing market is a complete disaster. The bubble is bursting right now. And we're seeing that building approvals, they have fallen by 7.5% month on month in January, crashing to 15.5% year on year. This is the biggest drop since April of 2012, and the third month in a row of declines. And it does not look good out there. Here in the United States, we are seeing the same thing happen. The real estate market is crumbling apart. Prices are coming down, not in every single area. Remember, each area is different. But this starts to spread. It's like a cancer. And it's spreading across the country. It starts in one little area, nobody notices. Then it spreads to another area. People take notice. We notice that houses are staying on the market longer and longer. And right now, the San Francisco market, well, it looks like things are starting to fall apart there. There are a ton of houses in the pipeline, which means permits are filed, shovels are ready, and we see the tech sector falling apart. So this is not a good combination. And we're starting to hear rumblings out of San Francisco that the housing market there is reached its full inflativeness, if that's a word, of the bubble, and it's ready to pop. So what they're seeing right now is venture capital is drying up there. We're starting to see the heavy jobs, the peak heavy jobs that were created in the entire area. Well, that's coming to an end. And they're continually building. We saw this back in 2007, 2008, when everything started to fall apart. And now we're seeing it in many different areas. If you look at the East, you look at the South, you look at the Midwest, you look at the West, we're starting to see in many different areas people have their homes for sale. They can't sell them. They're coming down in price. They're on the market longer and longer. Now, of course, this is then going to spread to other areas, just like we saw back in 2007. Remember when California was hit? People were just walking out of their homes. While that was happening, Miami was seeing all-time new highs in real estate. They couldn't keep up with the amount of sales. But 6 to 8 months later, guess what happened? It spread to all these different areas. And those areas, of course, most of it was speculation, came to a screeching halt. And the entire system completely fell apart. U.S. manufacturing. Well, market has come out and they're reporting that manufacturing PMI dropped to cycle lows. Production at its slowest pace in 28 months. Work backlogs are tumbling to the lowest since September 2009. ISM manufacturing is hovering at its weakest in 7 years. The whole thing is in contraction for 5 months in a row, and the February data add to signs of distress in the U.S. manufacturing economy. It is a complete disaster. The 7 industries reporting contraction in February are apparel, leather, allied products, petroleum and coal products, computer, electronic products, printing and related supported activities, transportation equipment, plastics and rubber products, and fabricated metal products. It is falling apart right in front of our eyes. We're starting to see global manufacturing. 70% of the global PMI, it has declined in February. It's falling apart. We look at different countries, like Denmark, down by negative 4.3. Sweden, down by negative 3.7. Japan, down by negative 2.2. UK, down by negative 2.1. Germany, negative 1.8. And it goes on and on and on. The entire system right now is imploding. And it's accelerating as time goes on. We see the Baltic Dry Index hovering around 332. It moved up a measly 3 points. So we can see we're hovering around the 300s or so. Not really moving anywhere. We're not seeing huge gains to 500, 600, 700. To basically where the norm was in the last couple of years. Even during the Great Recession, it was better. This should tell you something at this point. And we know there are more ships coming online, which is not going to help the situation. But of course, as time goes on, the U.S. government, the corporate media, they're going to say this is the new normal. The Baltic Dry Index should be around 400 points. Well, this wasn't the new normal until now. So this means we're really not in a recovery because they're trying to convince us that real estate, the way it works right now, this is the new normal. Manufacturing, this is the new normal. All those people that are out of work, that's the new normal. So everything is the new normal. Basically what they're saying, this is what a collapse looks like. Now the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, says that the U.S. financials are a complete mess. The Department of Defense, Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Department of Agriculture have books in such bad shape, coupled with the country's out-of-control debt and spending, that they can't make heads or tail of this. They're saying they're completely useless at this point. And they're saying that dangers lie ahead. Problems in the economy right now, they say, might lead to another economic downturn or a large-scale disaster. What we're seeing right now is the U.S. government central bankers trying to keep this system alive. They're using every accounting trick in the books. Actually, if this was a corporation and they were auditing the corporation, like the United States, which is a corporation, most of the people in there right now would be going to jail for falsifying financial documents. So we would see most of these people behind bars at this point. But again, they're in control. They make their own rules. Actually, the U.S. government central bankers have different rules than the people. And we see right now that as time goes on, the economy continually gets worse as we go throughout this year. Now, I know the market soared to 300 plus points, which is absolutely meaningless because the market doesn't really tell us how the economy is doing. Because right before the crash in 2008, the market was doing perfectly fine. It was at all-time new highs. And then all of a sudden, it came crashing down. And then it bounced back up and they said everything was fine. And then it came crashing down once again. But the economy was in bad shape way before that. And this is what we're seeing right now. Russia has become the world's largest buyer of gold. So right now, the Bank of Russia has purchased a lot of gold, and basically they are preparing for the demise of the dollar. China is preparing for the demise of the dollar. We have to remember, the yuan-backed gold pricing comes into effect in April. Now, will things immediately change in April? Most likely not. Most likely it will take a couple of months. But this is the start. And most likely we'll see gold inch up and then skyrocket up. And this is why, if you haven't already, I would get some precious metals. I would get silver if you can't afford gold. If you can afford gold, fine, get gold. If you can't afford silver, you can get junk silver, you can get copper. Just something to have a little bit of insurance to insure your wealth, basically. Because you know once the dollar devalues, it's going to be worth basically whatever the paper is worth. Nothing. And this is going to accelerate very, very quickly. You will not have time to react. And even if you wanted to get some type of precious metal, you won't be able to. There'll be so much demand, they'll be running out of supply, and the price will skyrocket so quickly, you won't have time to do it. And this is why everyone really needs to be prepared at this point. Now, we see Obamacare is completely falling apart. The co-ops are in complete disaster right now. They've used accounting tricks to make it look like the co-ops were doing a lot better than they were. And then we find out that a lot of these co-ops, 9 that already collapsed in 2015, revealed that, they've been faking a lot of the things and they've been manipulating, massaging a lot of the statistics. And 21 of the 23 co-ops lost money in 2014. As we know, 9 have already collapsed. And it didn't stop them from paying their CEOs millions of dollars. And again, this is taxpayer money. So Obamacare right now has cost the nation billions of dollars and have given no benefit to the people. Actually, they've given them taxes. They've given them higher premiums. They've given them higher deductibles and less benefits. And like I said many times before, if Obamacare is so great, why did the government exempt themselves? Why wouldn't they drop their incredible insurance for Obamacare, which was supposed to be an incredible insurance for the people? Because it wasn't the same. None of the plans were the same. That's why they didn't want to take it. That's why they exempted themselves. Plain and simple. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.